Most people think of the 4th of July as fireworks, barbecues, and celebrations with family and friends. But for some, those summer nights turned into something far darker, moments of terror they'll never forget. Tonight, you'll hear two true creepy 4th of July horror stories that prove sometimes the scariest explosions aren't in the sky, but in the shadows around you. The 4th of July is supposed to be a night of celebration, friends gathered together, the smell of barbecue in the air, fireworks exploding overhead. For most people, it's a holiday filled with joy, but not for me. For me, the 4th of July brings back memories I wish I could erase. Memories of a night that turned from laughter to pure terror. Back in 2015, I was home from college for the summer. My best friend Kevin invited me and a group of friends to celebrate at a big open field on the edge of town. It was a tradition in our small community. People went out there every year to set off fireworks since there was plenty of space and no one complained about the noise. We showed up with coolers of drinks, bags of snacks, and enough fireworks to last us the whole night. Families from nearby neighborhoods were there too, and for hours the sky was lit with bursts of red, white, and blue. Everything felt perfect at first. I remember lying on a blanket in the grass, watching the colors explode in the sky, and thinking about how happy I was to be there. But then I noticed something strange. Off at the far edge of the field, where the grass grew taller and the woods began, I thought I saw someone standing there. At first it was just a shadow in the dark, but as my eyes adjusted, I realized it was a person. Tall, thin, unmoving, just watching. I told myself it was nothing, maybe another family, maybe a teenager cutting through the field. But when I looked again, the figure was still there, still staring. As the night went on and the crowd thinned, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. By midnight, most of the families had left, leaving just our group of 10 sitting in a circle around the last of our fireworks. Kevin saved the biggest for last, a mortar shell that launched into the air before bursting into a massive golden bloom. We all cheered as sparks rained down, but then silence fell, heavy and strange. The crickets stopped. The laughter from other groups was gone, and then, from the woods, came the sound of a whistle. Slow, long, almost like someone was calling out to us. We froze. No one moved. No one spoke. Then came the whistle again, closer this time. My skin crawled. When I turned my head toward the tree line, I saw him again, the same tall figure, standing just at the edge of the darkness. Kevin tried to laugh it off, yelling out, "Who's there?" But the figure didn't answer. It didn't move. It just stood there. That was enough for all of us. We scrambled to grab our things, suddenly desperate to leave. We piled into cars, slamming doors, shouting at Kevin to drive. I sat in the back seat, heart racing, staring out the window. That's when I saw something that made me nearly scream. The figure was no longer at the tree line. He was standing in the middle of the field, right where we had been sitting just moments before. Kevin sped us back to his house, gravel flying beneath the tires. We tried to laugh it off, to tell ourselves it was some creep messing around, but deep down, we all knew it wasn't that simple. We had all felt the same thing. Something was wrong. Something wasn't normal. Later that night, after everyone had fallen asleep, I woke to a sound outside the window, a whistle, low and deliberate. My body went rigid. I forced myself to look through the blinds, and my blood ran cold. There he was, the same figure, standing at the edge of the driveway, his head tilted back, staring straight at Kevin's house. I shook Kevin awake, whispering frantically, but by the time he looked, the man was gone. We didn't sleep after that. In the morning, when we went outside, we found something scratched into the dirt near the driveway. A crude drawing of a firework exploding, and beneath it, the words, "See you next year." I've never gone back to that field on the 4th of July. The summer of 2009 was supposed to be one of the best of my life. It was the first year my parents let me go to the town's 4th of July carnival without them. Just me and my two best friends, Rachel and Mia. The carnival was huge rides, games, food stands, live music, and of course, the fireworks show that people drove in from all over to see. We spent the evening riding the Ferris wheel, eating cotton candy, laughing until our stomachs hurt. The air smelled like fried food and smoke, the sky glowing with the promise of fireworks. When the show finally began, we squeezed through the crowd to get a better view. The first explosions lit up the night sky, brilliant reds and blues, the crowd oohing and ohing. At first, I was lost in the beauty of it. But then I noticed something. A man, standing only a few feet away, wasn't looking at the fireworks. He was looking at me. At first I thought I was imagining it, but every time I glanced back, his eyes were still locked on me. He didn't smile, didn't look away, just stared. I nudged Rachel. "Do you see that guy?" She followed my gaze and frowned. "Creepy. Just ignore him." But ignoring him didn't work. When the fireworks ended and the crowd began to disperse, I noticed he was moving to always, just a few steps behind us. We tried to lose him, weaving through rides and food stands, ducking near the bathrooms. But no matter what we did, when we looked back, he was still there, always watching. By the time we decided to leave, the carnival was winding down. The lights flickered against the dark sky as we walked toward the parking lot. That's when I heard footsteps behind us. Quick, heavy. I turned, then there he was, following us, his pace quickening. "Run," I shouted, and the three of us bolted. We raced between cars, hearts pounding, breaths ragged. His footsteps grew louder, closer. Finally, we dove between two trucks, crouching low, praying he wouldn't find us. I held my breath as he walked by, his head turning slowly, scanning the rows. After what felt like forever, he walked off toward the far end of the lot. We waited until he was gone, then sprinted to Rachel's car. She fumbled with the keys, hands shaking, but finally got the door open. When the headlights flicked on, my stomach dropped. He was standing just a few feet in front of the car, staring straight at us. A faint smile curled across his face. Rachel floored it, swerving around him and tearing out of the lot. None of us spoke the entire drive home, but the nightmare didn't end there. The next morning, when we opened the front door at Rachel's house, there was something waiting on the porch. A piece of cardboard, folded in half. On the front, in black marker, were the words, "Happy 4th." Inside was a crudely drawn firework and a single red smear, dark and dried. We never saw him again, but every 4th of July since then, I find myself scanning the crowds, looking over my shoulder. And sometimes, I swear I still feel eyes on me. The 4th of July always feels like the safest night of the year. Streets full of people, fireworks in the sky, neighbors sitting on their porches. But that safety is an illusion, and I learned it the hard way one summer when I was 17. At night, my family had gone to the big fireworks show downtown, but I stayed home. I wasn't in the mood for crowds. Around 9:30, I heard the fireworks start in the distance, the muffled booms echoing through the night. I sat on the porch, watching the faint flashes of color in the sky above the trees. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed movement across the street. At first, I thought it was a neighbor, but as I looked closer, I realized it was a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, dressed in dark clothes, standing perfectly still, at the edge of the sidewalk. I shifted uncomfortably, trying to act like I hadn't noticed, but when I looked back, he had moved closer. He was now standing directly in front of my house, just on the other side of the street. His head was tilted slightly, and though I couldn't see his face clearly, I knew his eyes were on me. My pulse quickened. I went inside, locking the door, but curiosity got the better of me. I peeked through the blinds and nearly screamed. He was now in my yard, standing in the grass. staring at my front door. I backed away, heart pounding. The fireworks outside roared louder, masking the sound of my breathing. Then came a new sound. A knock. Slow, deliberate. On the front door. I didn't move. I didn't make a sound. But the knocking continued. Then it stopped. For a moment, I thought maybe he'd left. But then I heard the back door creaking. Open. I ran upstairs, grabbing my phone and locking myself in my bedroom. I dialed 911 with shaking hands, whispering to the dispatcher that someone had broken into my house. I could hear footsteps downstairs, slow and steady, moving through the kitchen. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line, that police were on the way. But then the footsteps stopped. Silence. I strained to listen, every nerve in my body on fire. Then, from the hallway outside my room, came the sound of another knock. Not on the door, on the wall, just inches away from where I sat. Trembling in the dark, the fireworks outside masked everything, the booms covering the creaks of the floor. I sat frozen until red and blue lights flashed outside my window. The police burst in moments later, but the man was gone. All they found was the back door ajar and a single piece of cardboard left on the kitchen counter. On it was a crude drawing of fireworks exploding and the words, "I was here." To this day, every 4th of July, when the fireworks start, I can't help but think of that knock on the wall. And that wraps up tonight's stories. The 4th of July is supposed to be about fireworks, laughter, and memories with family and friends. But as you've just heard, sometimes even the most joyful nights can turn into a nightmare you'll never forget. Have you ever had a chilling experience on a holiday? Maybe a strange encounter, something you couldn't explain, or a night that didn't feel quite right? If you have, I'd love to hear it. Drop your story in the comments below. I read everything you guys send, and your experience might even make it into a future video. If tonight's stories sent shivers down your spine, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps the channel more than you think, and it lets me know you want more content just like this. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next terrifying story. Remember, sometimes the loudest bangs on the 4th of July aren't fireworks at all. Stay safe, stay aware, and as always, thanks for watching.